Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smash Accept YouTube exclusive. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at DynastyDad FF. Joined as always by my main man, Snoog. We've been bringing you 2025 rookie content with Brock Dynasty, really setting things up with our different tiers. We've made the wide receiver show. We made the running back show. You guys have been begging for the tight end and quarterback show. Snoog, this tight end class is sexy. This quarterback class is a little bit underrated, and I'm excited to really just talk about what these tiers look like.
Anytime I hear rookies, prospects, NFL draft-related content, you know I'm here. So I got that text. I was ready to go. We got the content together for you guys. So we're ready to put together some rankings and tiers. Stud tight end class, one that's set to kind of change the dynasty landscape. 2 to 3 guys in the top 8 to 12 dynasty tight end rankings. And then underrated quarterback class, not great, not bad. It's not 2022 bad. It's not 2024 good. It's kind of a little above that. It's not 2023 good either, but it's good. There's a couple guys in here that could be starters. So excited to jump into it and kind of talk about some of the values, the rankings, and where they place in our tiering system.
Yeah, and last year, in this year's in 2024 rookie draft, we had 3 guys in that S tier. You know, you were looking at Daniels, you were looking at May, you were looking at Caleb, and then in that A tier, we had tons of quarterbacks. And this year, what we'd say with our S tier is we're talking about a guy that is going to be a top 10 dynasty quarterback. And I don't think we have any guys that I would consider in that S tier, but we have 2 guys that fall into that A tier. And for us, for the A tier is a guy that is a dynasty QB 12 to 18 range. You know, he's going to be a high-end QB2 upside. And for me, the prize of this class, the number one quarterback right now is Cam Ward. 23 years old, 6'2", 223. You know, we keep talking about every quarterback in this class is 6'2", so we can probably put that behind us. But a 91.5 PFF grade, 3 seasons over, 3,000 yards. And what I love about him is he makes the throws that other guys can't. He makes the unconventional throws. He's an absolute kind of wizard back there. You see some plays where, he just makes the most unconventional throws. He makes the big time throws, if you look at right now, 67.2 completion percentage, but he made 6.1% big time throws. So this is someone that I think at the next level in the right system, I think could put up some pretty big numbers and be in that QB 12 range in Dynasty. Mm-hmm. So I don't love the cost right now, at that 102, 103 range, but I don't mind the player at all.
Yeah, my QB1 as well. I mean, he plays the quarterback position like a point guard. Like, he is a field general. He sees the field really well. He's good pre-snap as well. He can put he can put any football anywhere he wants on the football field. So he can make every tight window throw he needs. He's got the arm talent to make throws on all 3 levels. The arm angle. He's got the quick release. So I just love watching him play football, honestly. He makes everything look easy. He keeps everything poised and patient back there. Even when the pocket's collapsing, he tends to step up, stay poised and calm through everything and just make the throws he needs. So he's a guy to me that plays the position very calmly, but still very smooth and attacks downfield. So I just think that the traits are going to translate very well to the NFL because he's calm under pressure. He can make throws at all 3 levels. He's got the arm power to push the ball downfield. He's got that sack escapability trait that he literally can just break sacks and make everything look so easy to me. So I think he reminds me a little bit. I know this might not make sense. He kind of reminds me of Brock Purdy on the 49ers, like how he plays. Like how he's not like this crazy good rushing QB. He's not super fast, but he's like quick and he's very smart with how he scrambles and avoids sacks. And he can make the ball go anywhere he wants. Basically, I think Ward has more arm talent than Purdy does, but I think that's the type of player he could be, like a vet, like experienced player coming in 23 years old. So I'm excited for Cam Ward. I think he's going to be the first quarterback taken off the board and the top 3 draft pick in this year's draft class.
Yeah, and I want to make sure we give you a layup for the QB3 in this class. So I'm also going to cover the QB2, Shedeur Sanders. And I think this is more like your 1A, 1B. I think you're looking at a different type of player. But Shedeur Sanders also 22 years old, 6'2", 215, another 90-plus PFF grade. When I see him play, I see like a Jared Goff type, someone that can escape in the pocket. He's not going to wow you with his rushing yards, but the way he extends plays and keeps his eyes downfield, I've said Jared Goff. I know you've said Geno Smith. So we have a solid QB2 in Dynasty. I think Ultimately, we want to see him go to the Giants with Daboll. I think he has a lot of upside there, but he's someone that, again, multiple 3,000 plus yard seasons, led all of college football with 76.8% completion percentage, makes the big time throws, has the pedigree of obviously his father, and I think Shedeur Sanders is going to be a nice, solid QB2. A lot of our guys, we're in the Patreon are asking us questions like, do you want JJ McCarthy? You want Michael Penix Jr.? Who do you want in this area? And Shedeur Sanders is right there with those guys. I think we're in a good spot in the NFL with quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's a sniper in the pocket. When he has time, he does well when the pocket's collapsing because of how bad his offensive line was at Colorado. He can make throws at all three levels, a little bit inaccurate and a little bit of an inconsistent arm power, in my opinion. Like sometimes he doesn't put enough mustard on the football downfield. But then there's also times like against TCU in 2023 when they came out and shocked the world and upset them when they were unranked and TCU was ranked. He had like 4 back-to-back like deep balls that were placed perfectly in the breadbasket under pressure. When he has time in the pocket, he reminds me a lot of Jared Goff, like you mentioned, or like a Geno Smith or like a Dak Prescott type. Like when things are in structure and he has time, he'll pick you apart. Like he's a good tight window thrower. He's good balanced off in platform. And he has good poise in the pocket. It's kind of when things get shaky, he tries to do too much with breaking sacks and all that. So there are a lot of weaknesses, but there's a lot of good on his film as well. I have him graded out as like a good game manager type prospect, a guy that's going to be top 15 to 20. He's going to be a starter in the NFL. If he goes to the Giants, he's going to be plus added value for landing spot. So those are the 2 QBs. The next one I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we are in Senior Bowl week. This guy, 2 of these next quarterbacks that we're going to cover could really see their stock rise. I mean, these are both guys that I think have round 1 capability and could become starters. You love Jaxson Dart. I keep diving in further and further because the more excited you get with a guy, I want to make sure I'm involved as well. Jaxson Dart, 21 years old. Sell me on him.
I mean, I'll sell you on the underrated part of his game. He had over 15 rushing touchdowns and over 2,000 rushing yards in college. So that's an underrated part of his game. And he's very good at escaping sacks. So those are 2 things that I like to look for in a quarterback, especially coming to college. Like, do they have any type of rushing upside? He has probably 400 to 500 rushing yard upside at best. He's not going to be Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson, but he's not going to be an absolute statue like Jared Goff. So that's the plus side of him, but he's just a fun athletic gunslinger. Like he moves around. He's got strong arm. He can put the ball in tight windows. He was pacing like 5,000 plus yards with Trey Harris before injury. He played like 6.5 games. He ended up with like 4,200 plus passing yards. He would have done Heisman numbers with Trey Harris healthy this year. So I think we're getting this discount on Jaxson Dart because of the injury. He had the highest yards per attempt in the whole class with 10.7 this year. Another guy that comes in with a good completion percentage over 69%. Just a good player in the SEC, good player at USC, young player too. I think he's a guy that needs to sit for a year. He's going to come in. He needs to be like the Rams successor to Matt Stafford, right? Like a guy that comes into a good system, sits for a year, learns, develops, and then comes in because he has the arm talent. It's just he needs to learn better. His reads and his pre-snap stuff isn't great. I think a lot of Ole Miss's offense is very simple and too easy. It's not very pro style. So I'd like to see what he can do kind of in a different system. But I think he's going to be a big Senior Bowl riser. I've been saying Jaxson Dart's going to be a first-round pick for about 2 months now. Lock it in. I think he's going to lock himself as that 3rd quarterback taken. I don't know where he's going to go yet, but a guy, like I said, gunslinger, good rushing QB, young player, a lot of tools and assets to be that type of high-end gunslinger, game manager, plus at the next level. So excited for Jaxson Dart.
He's in that B tier. You're excited about him. I'm excited about the next Jalen Hurts Jr., Jalen Hurts light, Jalen Milroe, 22 years old, 6'2", 225. You look at the first 3 quarterbacks, and we're talking about guys with 90-plus PFF grades. Jalen Milroe more in that 78.6. But what he brings to the table, okay, is a skill set that no one else in this class has. 800-plus rushing yards in back-to-back seasons. 20 rushing touchdowns in 2024 to go with his 16 passing and 2,800 passing yards. So this is that dual threat that we're looking at. Back-to-back seasons, over 30 combined touchdowns. Obviously, it's raw. It is a process here where I would love to see him go early round 2 to a team that can let him sit for a year like Jalen Hurts. There's so many things that we tie to Jalen Milroe and Jalen Hurts. Is They both are likely going to have, round 2 draft capital. They're both coming from Alabama. They're both run first type quarterbacks. Jalen took his game to the next level. I think Jalen Hurts is way better than Jalen Milroe, but we're talking about Jalen Hurts light. So if I can get him in super flex in the early second to mid second, and I think by the time the running backs are all added in, he's going to be a late second, just like Jalen was. And I think it's going to be good value. Are there anybody else? I mean, we're looking at these are the big 4. There's another guy in this tier that I know you like a little bit more than me. Sell me on Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, I would have Dart in a tier ahead of these two, but Quinn Ewers would be my QB4 in this class. He's just a guy you're banking on the pedigree. You're banking on that pro-style offense he ran at Texas all 3 years he was there. I mean, he's 21 years old still. He's a guy that shows up at the big game. Like, he always shows up and has a good game when it's all on the line. We saw him against Arizona State. He was ice out. Like, he was just as cold as can be with the time clock and 4th and long, game on the line, season on the line, and he just was ice. Like, so that's what I look for in Quinn Ewers, a guy that runs an offense that ran a lot of bubble screens, but does a lot in this offense, throwing the ball across the field, throwing the ball downfield as well. He's had a lot of those throws that I'm like, okay, Quinn Ewers has arm talent. He's this type of guy. He can get there. And then he has a lot of those, like, what do you do in decision-making type plays. Raw player, another guy I think needs to sit for a year, like Dart. I don't think he's as complete as Dart. I think Dart's a better player and more complete, but I think Quinn can get to that game manager plus type upside in the right system. Like, another one goes to the Rams and sits behind Stafford for a year, or goes to one of these type of teams and sits for a year or two as like that bridge type guy, or like a team brings in like a Jameis Winston or a Sam Darnold, and then they draft a Quinn Ewers. Like, that's what you're looking for from this type of guy. But I mean, a guy with 2 seasons with over 3,000 plus passing yards. This year, he had 33 total touchdowns, 3,400 plus yards. Banged up a lot of the year, missed I think a game or two with Arch coming in and starting for a couple games. So he honestly had a really underrated year for what he was. Played pretty good against Ohio State. I know he had that strip sack at the end to kind of lose the game and seal it out. But that's kind of our top 5 quarterbacks. Let's jump into some of these next 3 QBs and just quick hitter. Like, what do you see Dillon Gabriel, Kyle McCord, Will Howard being? Like, do you see them being any sort of value, kind of high end backups? Where do they fall for you? Because they're in this last tier for us. So
I have Dillon Gabriel above the other ones. I think, he looked great at Oregon, 3 straight years over 3,000 yards in multiple systems. He's that guy that's a mobile quarterback plus. Like, he's a pocket guy, kind of like Dart, but he has that ability to run the ball. And I think you're looking at like a Michael Penix light. I know whenever there's a left-handed quarterback, we say Tua, but it's like a lesser arm, but more agile version of Michael Penix Jr. Nothing sexy. I think all these guys, even, Will Howard had a great stretch down the playoffs. Kyle McCord, I think all 3 of these guys are capable backups, but nothing that you want to really invest too heavily in Dynasty.
Yeah.
Maybe your 3rd round pick and kind of go from there. The prize of this class is the running back position, but really close behind that is the tight end position, Snoog. And this has multiple guys in that S tier. We talk about S tier being guys that we see 2 tight ends in this class being top 6 to 8 Dynasty tight ends before they even play a game. The first guy for me, and then I'm going to let you have the second one here. For me, it's Tyler Warren. I know people are going to say he's 24 years old, and I get that. But he's 6'6", 257, 104 receptions, 1,233 yards, 12 touchdowns, an absolutely phenomenal 93.4 PFF grade. I mean, he's someone that at the next level is going to create mismatches everywhere on the field, just like he did at Penn State. In the right system, this guy is going to be unstoppable. Like, he's not Brock Bowers. A lot of people are trying to put him early up there. But if you look at Daniel Jeremiah, he just put out his top 50 prospects. Tyler Warren's number 5. We're not talking offensive. We're talking all of the draft. He is number 5. The only offensive player talent-wise that he's behind, according to that, is Ashton Junty. So Tyler Warren is someone that's an absolute elite level tight end. You even were saying if he goes to the Chargers, he might be your Dynasty tight end 3 above Laporta day 1. So he's going to be a smash prospect. The other one's definitely Colston Loveland.
Yeah, Loveland's a guy. I don't think he's as complete as Warren, I think Warren's more versatile. Like Warren was the entire Penn State offense the past 2 years. And this is a team that was a top 4 team in the country this year. You mentioned the numbers. They speak for themselves. But Loveland's another guy. He was his entire offense the past 2 years for Michigan, basically. I mean, he's a guy 20 years old, 6'5", 245, 50-plus receptions, 580-plus yards this year. He accounted for 39% of Michigan's passing yards this year. Like, that was absolutely phenomenal. 2.67 plus yards per route run, averaged 2+ yards per route run in his entire career. A guy that steps on the football field and produces. Him being 20 years old, him being a first-round draft pick. A lot of people have him as a first-round grade. I have him as a first-round grade. A lot of smart NFL draft analysts have him as a top 20 player on their big board. Another one with a 90-plus PFF grade. There was 3 tight ends in this class. We'll get to the next one after this with a 90-plus PFF grade. Very, very good tight end class. Loveland and Warren. I think Loveland's going to be a perfect fit over there with the Los Angeles Chargers with his old head coach and Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. That's exactly what they need. And if he goes there, he's going to be fighting for a top 5 dynasty tight end spot. 2 S-tier tight ends in this class. There's one guy in A tier, though, Dad, and I want you to sell us on Fannin Jr., another one that's just 20 years old. Talk to us about what he did over there at Bowling Green in his junior season.
If he did what he did at Bowling Green in the SEC, we're not even debating this. He's definitely in that S tier. Still just 22 years old, 6'4", 240, 117 receptions, 1,555 yards, and a PFF grade of 96.3. And get this, all right, we talk about wide receivers. We want guys to run at that 2.0, yards per route run. He was at 3.76 yards per route run.
He was their whole offense. Whole offense at Bowling Green.
The only thing that you can say against it is, his first 2 years, he didn't really do much. And then his junior year, he blew up. And this is someone that, dude, like imagine right now I have him graded out as a late first, early second. We talked about this before, but imagine Kelsey retires and Fannin comes into Kansas City. Or, he goes somewhere in that early second where he's going to be the number 2 option because he's a mismatch nightmare again. Like, he's not the greatest blocker. I think Loveland and Warren are much more complete tight ends, but this guy's going to create mismatches just like we saw, Evan Ingram's rookie year. Like, you put him out in line, no safety is going to be able to cover him. He's faster than they are, and he's tougher than the corners. So he could really be a steal in Superflex drafts, and he's the only guy I consider A tier here.
There's 2 things I love about him. One, I know you mentioned that he was kind of like a one-year type bloom type player. He was for what he did this year, but his sophomore year was a very underrated. 40-plus receptions, 600-plus yards, 6 total touchdowns. That's better than Loveland's best season, and that's better than Tyler Warren's second best season. So he definitely blew up this year, but he was pretty solid as a sophomore, which is something you want to see. But this year, like there's 2 things I look for in a tight end: versatility and are they involved? Like, are they their offense? The 3 guys we just named, and Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, Fannin Jr., were literally their entire team's passing offense and receiving offense. Like, they did everything for that team. He had, against the 2 ranked opponents that Bowling Green faced this year, Penn State in week 2, he had 11 receptions, 137 yards, and a touchdown. Week 3, Texas A&M in the SEC, 8 receptions, 145 yards, and 1 touchdown. He showed up. It doesn't matter. He was on Bowling Green. They played the best of the best competition. He showed up. He dominated. He was their whole offense. Next guy, because Fannin Jr., I have an early day 2 grade on him. And if he slipped into that late first range somehow, I would not be shocked. I think his combine is going to be like where he goes in the draft, whether it's like late round 1, early round 2 type.
If you guys listen to the podcast, you know that when Snoog's Boston accent comes out when he's talking about a player, he's excited. You heard it there with the touchdown, and you're right on. I mean, Fannin Jr. is going to be a stud. That's the end of our A tier. We have 3 guys in B tier. I really was hoping to see Gunnar Helm at the Senior Bowl. 22 years old, another guy, 6'5", 250, 60 receptions, 7 touchdowns, had a phenomenal season. And I think he's one of your favorite sleepers. Mason Taylor, another guy, same size, 6'5", 255, 55 receptions. And then Elijah Arroyo, who, again, Daniel Jeremiah has in the top 50 prospects in this class, 6'4", 245. sell me on your favorite guy out of this three. I think all three of them belong in that B tier, which are guys that are going to be dynasty tight end twos, but in the right situation could move up.
Yeah, I'll hit on my guy here, and I'll give you Mason Taylor, but I like Gunnar Helm here. 22 years old. He was a big part of this Texas success on offense this year. I mean, 780 plus yards and 60 plus receptions as a tight end, involved a lot in the red zone, 1.6 plus yards per route run, 70 plus PFF grade. Very solid season. He's tight end 2 or tight end 3 in most draft classes. Very good athlete. I mean, he's 6'5", 250. He hurdles people. He wins at all three levels. He can win downfield. He's versatile. You can get him involved in the screen game. He's good in the yak game. Posted like a 7+ yards after catch per reception season. So Gunnar Helm's definitely my favorite sleeper. You'll probably get him in the 3rd or 4th round of rookie drafts. I have a day 2 grade on him. Sell us on LSU's Mason Taylor, and then we'll jump into the Senior Bowl's biggest riser in the Miami tight end at the end.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor, what I really like about him is his size. He's got really reliable hands. He's still just 20 years old. So that's the exciting part. 55 receptions and 546 yards was a really, really solid season. You would have liked to see the touchdowns jump up with just 2 of them in there. But again, 69.5 PFF grade. This is someone that I would love in the right landing spot as a secondary tight end that gets to replace somebody else. You know what I mean? Like somebody that they draft as their tight end 2, maybe the Texans behind Dalton Schultz, because Dalton Schultz has, struggled at times where you see him be the heir apparent. We see that a lot of times with a guy that's like, you're drafting in round 2, round 3, they're groomed kind of like Noah Gray has been with Kansas City, a lot of those things where he's going to get some touchdown opportunities with that frame that he has. So
yeah,
real quick, Elijah Arroyo, he's really been rising up boards, phenomenal season this past year. Sell me on him, and then we'll recap this quick.
Yeah, him and Mason Taylor have been taking the storm at the Senior Bowl. So I've been heard. I'm not there, but some very reliable sources and guys that I follow and trust have been putting out some good content over there on Twitter about him. So 590 plus yards, another guy with 7 touchdowns, 1.7 plus yards per route run, 9.1 yards at the catch per reception. He's versatile. He's a weapon in the yak game. He can win on all 3 levels. He can run good routes. What you're looking for in a tight end. I think we're 6 tight ends deep and 6 guys that I'm confident that they can step on the football field and be an impact player. That just shapes off and kind of talks to us as a recap of what this tight end class is going to look like. It's very, very good. The tight end and running backs are definitely the strengths of this class. I love the wide receiver class because I think it's super undervalued and there's like 3 to 4 stud prospects in this class. But I think the tight end class is when you're getting into like, let's fix the dynasty tight end landscape. And I think this class is going to do it. Dad, finish us off here. Give us a quick recap of what this quarterback class looks like, kind of what you're doing with rookie picks. Are you taking any quarterbacks, any values you like? And let's hit the outro.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's this tight end class. We got 3 guys, honestly, inside your top 12 dynasty tight ends right off the bat. I think the quarterback class is quite a bit different. The quarterback, as I am, I'm not going to come away with a lot of Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to take some dart throws, no pun intended, on Jaxson Dart and Jalen Milroe. And I think this is kind of what you're going to do is you're going to pick your poison. You're going to utilize those picks. Most people are going to take quarterbacks at 102, 103, 104 this year. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to use those and misplay the market where people are. I would rather go out and I would try to trade for a Jared Goff plus, a Baker Mayfield plus, a Michael Penix Jr. plus, and try to even a Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence plus, because we've seen a little bit more there. These are not ironclad prospects. Ultimately, somewhere in your dynasty tight end or quarterback 12 to 18 range. So, man, I'm excited for this class. I'm excited for what's been going on for YouTube. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Our page has been growing like crazy lately, so we love and appreciate that support. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and enjoy the process.